So they talk the talk, but they don't necessarily walk the walk. So we're going to see that what Rav Shlomo taught is the way he lived, and of course, it's very, very relevant to the way that we should live. So in our parsha, we have the story of Avram Avinu running around and going and finding the pagans, as Rav Shlomo would call them, or the Arabs, sometimes he refers to them, in the middle of the desert, not necessarily religious people, certainly not Jewish people. Rav Shlomo Yitzhaki Rashi says that he washed their feet of avodah zarah, which means obviously they were not monotheists, but nonetheless, Shlomo says that Avram Avinu is running around trying to carve them, inviting them into his house, showing them love. And in fact, Rav Shlomo's Mechadesh, only because he went around and tried to bring, he showed love and the divine image in these pagans, ultimately was Yizorchet to getting the bracha of Yitzchak Avinu of having a son. These are not disconnected stories, but in the schus of being able to see the divine image in everyone, even, and I would say even Dafka, the sinners, that was what gave Avram the schus to be Avram Avinu, to be the father of the Jewish people. Right? In the schus of the fact that he davens for Stom, these sinners, that's why he's chosen to be the father of the Jewish people. That's a running theme in Rav Shlomo's teachings, to see the divine image in everyone, even in the sinners, and in all sorts of people who everyone else in society may have shunned. And no one wants to have anything to do with them. But Rav Shlomo Dafka would go out of his way to see the divine image in these people and to see them as diamonds from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. The story is told, page 27 of Holy Brother, that Rav Shlomo was being driven to a concert in Pennsylvania. Okay, and basically, there was a woman, and she wasn't interested in religion at all, and she was kind of forced to come to the concert because someone said, "Oh, it'll be a good experience. There'll be singing." She was not interested in religion, but she had no choice. Her friend really wanted her to come accompany her to the concert. So he accompanied her to the concert, and he sees she sees this guy. He looks very holy, not exactly used to this experience, starting the singing and the Torah teaching. She wasn't that impressed. It was just a bunch of, songs and Torah. And at a certain point, she noticed that there's one row where no one was getting close to that row. And why was that? Because there was one person with such hideous features. He was disinformed. Must have had an accident, and no one would come close to him because he looked so horrifying. And Rav Shlomo would, when he would play at his concerts, he would walk down the aisles, hugging everyone, singing, greeting everyone. And suddenly his eyes meet this person that everyone else thought looked horrifying. And he just looked at him, he stared at him. There's total silence. He put down his guitar. The whole concert stopped. He goes up to this man and he gives him a big hug. He says, "You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful." And they embraced for a long moment. And everyone just in the concert stood in silence. And then it seemed like this is what her experience was. He didn't seem so horrifying anymore. He seemed more humane. He seemed more beautiful. And everyone just started singing and dancing. And this woman says that was the moment when she started taking religion seriously. She said, if religion is giving him the eyes to see the beauty, and this person who everyone else thought was horrible, but Shlomo had the eyes to see the beauty, and this person, then maybe I should take religion more seriously. And that began his journey. That began her journey. Sorry, to come back to Judaism and to become an Orthodox Jew and become fully religious Jew. But it all began with those eyes of seeing the divine image where no one else could see how beautiful that person was. Another story in Holy Brother that's similar, but different. There's a woman, and Rav Shlomo used to go to a coffee place, and he would go to this diner, and this lady was serving the coffee and Rav Shlomo's, pastry, uh, and she was very gruff, very like rough on the edges. And most people like me, okay, so I'm gonna just do my thing, you do your thing, just don't deal with people like that. But there wasn't Rav Shlomo. He took the muffin and he said, "What an amazing looking muffin!" He started praising the muffin, the texture, on and on for minutes, wasting Torah time, so to speak, to praise the muffin until this woman, by the end of all of the unbelievable praise that Rav Shlomo was giving to this muffin, her face had melted. She was now an angel, and she looked beautiful, and she became soft, and Rav Shlomo was able to melt the heart of this person that no one else was able to melt just by seeing the divine image in this human being. There's another story of a similar nature. It will close with this. It's a bit more controversial. Shlomo used, now that I think about it, there's two similar stories. Shlomo went to the prisons in Ramla. Ramla had Jewish and Arab prisoners, and the Jewish prisoners would be on one side, and the Arabs would be on the other. They have nothing to do with each other for obvious reasons. A lot of these prisoners who were Arabs were terrorists, former terrorists. Shlomo was asked to do a concert on Hanukkah, and who shows up to the concert? Of course, the Jews. The Arabs weren't so interested for some reason in a Hanukkah concert. It was strange. So Shlomo said, "What about the Arab prisoners? Aren't they going to come also?" So the Jewish security guard's like, "I didn't really think to invite them. They didn't seem so interested." Shlomo says, "No, no, they all have to come." So he says, "You want to invite them? You can go for yourself." So Shlomo went into every single prison cell and started speaking to every single Arab prisoner and invited them. Oh, it'll be nice singing. Greeted them. By the end, about half the Arabs came to the uh, to the concert, and you have the Jews on one side and the Arabs on the other side, not really having much to do with each other. Shlomo starts singing, teaching Hasidic stories, teaching Izbits, teaching of Cook. By the end of the concert, they're all singing and dancing together. You have an Arab former terrorist translating Hasidic stories, and he was able to get them all to dance and sing together like the Mashiach had come. This is Shlomo. He's able to see the divine image even in the Rishaim. He's able to somehow, or in the former Rishaim, I don't know, but that's a story. He was able to see the divine image in everyone, and because he had those eyes to see, like Avram Avinu, who only saw the good in these pagans, he was able to makariv everyone back to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Mitzvah Geras Mitzvah. One last story. So Shlomo was invited to the prisons. He went in upstate New York. He would go to many different prisons, and whenever they would invite him, he would go. And he would go to every single cell. Most of these prisons had no Jews. Maybe one Jew there, but that didn't matter of Shlomo. He saw the divine image in everyone, and he would go from cell to cell, hugging everyone, giving them love, teaching them Torah, or in his own way, and eventually, inviting them to a concert. Maybe the Jews would come, maybe they wouldn't, but that was his derech, to show everyone love. And by the end of it, he's about to leave after doing his holy work, and he's about to step out the door when this big, burly ex, who knows what convict, comes up and says, "Wait." And Shlomo looks at him. He says, "Yes, how can I help?" The guy like hesitated a little bit. He's like, "Can I get another hug?" So Shlomo comes and gives him the biggest bear hug in the world. And they stood clasping there for a long time. And the end of it, he's crying and he says, "If only someone would have hugged me like that once in my life, I never would have been here in prison. I never would have done what I did." So that was Rav Shlomo, the Avram Avinu of our generation, showing love to all the pagans, but in the end, ultimately revealing the divine image in every single person. So if there's one very practical thing that we can take out of this, it's that every person we meet, we should be able to have those Shlomo eyes and see the divine image, see the shining soul of every single person. Bezrat Hashem.